Hi. So it's been quite a day here. I got my second COVID vaccine today, and they had their computers go down. So I waited in line for an hour and a half to get my second vaccine. So I'm not having my typical cocktail. I am today having a little of the wonderful Mind Your Mana apple cider vinegar tonic with a little water in my fabulous ball glass, because I'm just hydrating and working on my gut health and trying to keep myself so I don't feel lousy tomorrow. We're crossing our fingers on that. So today I'm here making the perfect poke bowl, and wanted to walk you guys through a few things. So we happen to have the most amazing ingredients in the store right now for poke. We have this, we just added this beautiful Chico rice. There we go. And it is amazing. I gotta say, it's just like, oh, so beautiful. It's so these guys grow this in California here, and this rice is brought over by the Japanese right around before World War II. They were growing it here. Not this family, but this family has been growing rice for a very, very long time in California. And this Japanese short grain rice has been adapted to the California climate, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It makes not only really great sushi and sushi rice, but it's really kind of great for everything, including risotto, which I'm kind of excited to try it with. But today, I'm using it for poke bowls. So I'm also using this other new ingredient we have. Now, pardon the crooked label. Let me tell you the story on this. Oh my, we got a big plane coming out on our side, and my husband has all the doors open. Okay, sorry, it's gonna be loud for a second because there's a helicopter. No idea why. Anyway, American Vinegar Works makes this absolutely gorgeous, well, they make all their vinegars are absolutely beautiful. They are not even small batch, they're micro batch. They just make them in these tiny little batches, all handcrafted and aged in, these beautiful barrels. And they choose the most premium ingredients. Absolutely ever. Every vinegar begins with some sort of spirit. That's why you have white wine vinegar, champagne vinegar, etc. So this begins with sake. If you're going to Junmai sake from California. And the higher quality of the vinegar started with a higher quality spirit. So they started very, very premium Junmai sake from California, and then they treated it extremely love and care in small batches, aging slowly, using a slow, ancient process, not ancient, but hundreds of years old process. That people don't do anymore because it's expensive. Time is money and it's expensive. So the stuff you buy in the grocery store is not going to be this quality. But when you're doing a poke bowl or sushi or things like that, or really most of your cooking, I got to say, salads, etc., you're going to want to use something really, really special, and you want to taste that ingredient. This is so beautiful. It's so lovely. It's got such a delicate flavor, and it's nuanced. It's beautiful. You're going to love it. So what I'm going to do, so I've previously made my rice here. Here we go. So we got to see that beautiful rice. I cooked that on up. And then what you want to do is you want to take your vinegar and you're going to sprinkle it. I put my whole thumb, I don't know if you can see that, my whole thumb over the edge here. So I just get the tiniest bits of sprinkle. And I'm just going to sprinkle a tiny, tiny bit on here. And then here, I'm going to show you if I can. Okay, then I'm going to just take my fork and we're just going to stir it up a little bit. Now, I happen to have one of these really fancy rice, things that they use in the fancy sushi bars, but Japanese use, but you don't have to. You can just use a fork and just kind of stir that vinegar in a little bit and get it in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that aside. I want this to stay warm, but I obviously don't want it to stay cooking, right? So I'm going to keep this over here aside while I deal with my fish. Now, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a bowl here. I'm going to make my marinade sauce. Now, I'm going to start with a little bit of some toasted sesame oil. And if you don't want toasted sesame oil, you want to go a little cleaner with your ingredients, you can use the bene oil, but it's a very different flavor. The bene oil, the toasted sesame gives you that toasted quality to it, obviously. It's what we've kind of grown to think of as soy, sesame, but bene oil is actually the ancient ancestor to sesame. It is the ancient ancestor, and it's a lot more flavorful than untoasted sesame, but because it is not toasted, first of all, it's going to be better for you health-wise, but it's a very different flavor. It's a slightly astringent too. So, test it, try it, definitely. So I'm going to do, here we go. I've got my bourbon barrel soy. If you read that, there you go. Bourbon barrel soy. This stuff is amazing. Okay, I'm going to do a half of a tablespoon on that. Now, this, I'm just making a tiny bit here because I've split my recipe in half. So you might be doubling your recipe. And then I'm going to do an equal amount, half tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. And now, just because I'm me, you don't have to do this. This isn't optional. And you're not going to find a lot of people that are going to tell you to do this. But it makes it a little special if you put just a little bit of sake in it. So if you put like maybe another half teaspoon of sake in it, or a tablespoon of sake in it. That's excellent. Now we're going to take some ginger. Now I'm going to take maybe, how much ginger? Probably a little less than that. I'm going to just kind of peel our skin off here so I don't get skins in my thing. Honestly, I'm not that careful about this stuff. And oops, run away. Honestly, don't be, nobody's going to vote you off Top Chef if you have a little bit of ginger skin in there. It's totally edible. It's just not so pretty and it's a little bit fibrous. So, better to keep it out, but I often just kind of grate away. It gets in all these nooks and crannies and you can't get it out. I might just cut that off there. And kind of, honestly, if you get a little in, tell everybody you meant to. It's totally intentional. I meant to do that. Tell them it's more nutritious. Everybody will believe that. Okay, now I'm just going to use my grater here. I've got a little microplaner, which everybody needs to have in their kitchen. I'm going to grate about an inch worth of ginger in here. And then I'm going to taste it and just make sure that I've got the balance, right? Because it's all about the balance. Okay, there we go. So poke bowls come to us from Hawaii. It's kind of like simple sushi. And in Hawaii, they eat them all the time, everywhere. You'll find poke bowls at gas stations. And that's very good. Now, at this point, sorry, that ginger's hitting back in my throat. At this point, you're going to want to taste it and adjust. If you want a little more salt in it, if you're feeling like, it doesn't taste salty enough, just throw a couple more dashes of your soy sauce in there. But everyone's different on how they like their sodium level, right? Like some people like things really salty and some people like them not. So I would say that's a really good ratio for you. Double it if you're going to do, like, I basically halved it for me right now because as you're going to see, I'm just going to make half of my tuna in here. And so this is like a personal size. So if you're making it for yourself, this is kind of the perfect amount. I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to get out my fish. Now, word about the fish. You want the highest quality, freshest fish possible. So this is where you're going to not go to the grocery store necessarily. You're going to go to your best fishmonger in town, especially a Japanese one if you can find it. We happen to have a place here in California called The Joint. It's local for me here in the Valley. And he has the most amazing beautiful fish you could ever imagine. Just pristine. He dry ages it like you would do a steak, which makes it even better. So I went down there earlier. I'm going to wipe off my board here because I need it to be really clean for my sushi, right? So everything needs to be really, really clean. You want to start with a very clean knife that's very, very sharp so that you're getting a really good cut on it. Okay, so now, oops, get my thing down so I'm not shaking. Okay, let me grab my fish. So I went to the fish market just before this, and I had them put it in with ice in a little cooler bag, and I brought it home and immediately put that in my refrigerator with the ice already in it because I want it to stay super, super cold the whole time. So here we go. Here is my ice bag, and here is my fish. So this is just a 1/4 pound. I've got the other 1/4 pound waiting so that you don't have to wait for me. And for 2 people, about a 1/4 pound a person is plenty for you. And I'll show you how much that is. But that might even be too much for you. You might say, wow, that's a lot of fish. I don't need that much. So this is what a 1/4 pound looks like. Oops. This is what a 1/4 pound looks like. It's a good size, but not too much. Now what I'm going to do here, so let's see how beautiful that is. Gorgeous. Now the other thing you're going to want to do when you get fish for this, I don't know if you see that has lighting. So see all these little marbly lines in here. Those can be kind of chewy and hard to chew. So when you look for fish, see how this is mostly got almost no lines in it. It's just a beautiful lean fish. It's actually fatty. It'll taste delicious and unctuous in your mouth, but it doesn't have these guys. That makes it very good for sushi because it's not going to be, have you ever had a piece of sushi and it's like chewy? You can't quite chew it up. That's because too much of this stuff. So when you look at the fish with your fishmonger, you want a piece that looks more like this, less like this over here. And as I cut this, you're actually going to see what I mean. So I'm going to make little cubes. Okay, so see down here, you can see how this is kind of almost hard for me to cut, a little harder than the other pieces. So I'm going to make these little cubes with this. You want them to be about bite-sized cubes. I'm going to put them in my marinade. Now I'm going to cut these guys in half. Depends on how big you want. Like some people might go this big on the cubes, but to me that's like a big bite. So I like them just a little bit smaller because I like just a little bit more bite size. But you can decide whether that's too big for you or not. I like just a little bit finer of a dice on them. Some people even do strips. You can do the same thing. Use it for a roll, a hand roll, which is super easy to do. And here we go. Last cut. See how hard that was to cut there? So that, my friend, is not going to be a good piece for sushi because, see, you're not going to be able to chew it up. So that is why you want mostly this part, which is nice and lean. It doesn't have this connective tissue, which makes it hard to chew. You want everybody to bite into it and be like butter. Yum. If you are not a fish eater, this recipe also works with tempeh. So you can also use tofu or tempeh and replace a fish if you are wanting to go vegan on this recipe. It all works. It's all delicious. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to just toss this a little bit lightly in my marinade. I'm going to throw that back in the refrigerator for 15 minutes. 15 to 30 minutes. Don't want to go a lot longer than that, but that's what you want. Okay, and then through the magic of television, I'm going to take out the one that I was marinating earlier. So I'm going to show you the poke bowl preparation. Okay, so ta-da! Marinated already. Isn't that amazing? So next what we're going to do is we're going to take our bowl here, and I'm going to get my rice in here. So here we go. Rice goes in. So I'm going to put rice in the bottom of the bowl. Got a big bowl. Somewhat of a big poke bowl, but you know, I've got a big appetite. I just had a COVID shot today. There we go. You know, it's funny on these COVID shots, some people are really feeling like they were not well and they feel like they had the flu. By the way, all of it totally worth it. Totally worth it. But I read up a little bit on it. And so what I've been doing is, I'll show you guys. So I've been doing the apple cider vinegar for 3 days now. Get myself ready. I've also been doing the elderberry. Hold on. Back in the fridge. Back in the fridge. Okay, here we go. So the elderberry syrup. This stuff is great for your immune system. It's fantastic with fighting colds and flu. So they said the thing with the COVID shot is what it's doing is kind of tricking your immune system into going to drug like you've got the flu, which is why you feel like you have the flu. So what you want to do is build your immune system first and fight just as though you were fighting a cold, even though it's just the shot. So I've been drinking this stuff every day. It's so delicious. It's not a chore to be drinking that. Now what I'm going to do here on my poke bowl, here we're going to show you guys. So first I'm going to put a bunch of carrots down. Very pretty. You're just making a beautiful little presentation here. I'm going to put a bunch of our cucumber. I'm going to make that pretty over here. Just kind of making a pretty little presentation. And you want to cut these all really nice and thin. You're going to use your best knife skills now. And there we go, some nice beautiful thin cuts here. And then I'm going to put some edamame. Just edamame. Now, that's pretty, okay. You want to really pick the best ones. There we go. Pretty, okay. And now I'm going to put a little radish over here. Now I went and got myself some watermelon radish, which should look like watermelon. It's so beautiful. But look, there's just the tiniest bit of pink on it. It's awful. So I've got both regular and watermelon radish in here. Watermelon radish, a little that radish. Yums. And then I'm gonna cut some avocado here. Okay. You know when you've been keeping an avocado around, waiting for it to get exactly ripe, then you cut into it and you hope that it's that exact ripeness and not brown? This is that moment. Let's see what happens. Will it be brown? Will it be brown? Oh, it's perfect! Okay, now I'm going to go get myself some nice slices. So I cut all the way around. Ooh, pretty. This is going to be very nice. I need a knife. Spoon. There we go. And all I do, watch this is, I spoon this guy out. We here in Southern California have a lot of avocados. So we're very familiar with cutting avocados. I know that not everyone in the country is. I'm going to fan those out just a little bit. Because again, this is a dish, probably more than any other, that you really just eat with your eyes. You want it to be so pretty. So pretty. Okay, there we go. 3 little slices of avocado there. Ooh, look at that. Now, on goes my fish. So I'm going to take it out of my marinade bowl. I'm going to kind of stick it right here in the middle. Oops, there we go. Yum. So I'm having mine with some bluefin tuna. Now, the last bit we're going to do is we're going to do some seaweed sprinkles from seaweed sprinkles. Okay. Oh yeah. So seaweed sprinkles, we've got 3 different flavors of these. I think I've used all my spicy for the moment, but that's okay. I like bonito best on the poke bowls. Is the most traditional. Can you see that? I don't know. There we go. There is also shiitake. So again, if you're doing a vegan poke bowl, the shiitake gives you that umami and a feeling of like a meatiness. So you could do tofu or tempeh, marinated the same way, and then use your shiitake. And then you're completely vegan. I am going to put a little bit of my bonito ones on here because that's very traditional for a poke bowl. Now, what the seaweed sprinkles are is it's a condiment from Japan called furikake, which nobody in the United States knows about. It's a very unknown thing. Ooh, there we go. So look at this pretty thing now. Ooh, get some light on that. That is going to be beautiful. So now I've got my beautiful poke bowl. So furikake here is a Japanese condiment, very, very popular in Asia, but in America, we only know it if we go to poke bowls because at poke bars, at the end of the poke bar, they'll say like, they'll point you with this. They won't say this one. They'll have this little sesame seed concoction. There's like usually almost always sesame seed, and there's always hi Danny. Yes, it is healthy, and thank you. So the furikake is sesame seed. It's almost always bits of seaweed in it. It's got sometimes a little salt, sometimes a little sugar, and it has anything else in it. There's a million different recipes for furikake. And this one happens to be bonito flakes in it, which is more traditional to what you would find in most of Japan and poke bowls. Shiitake is really an interesting take on it because it's, I'll just say it's just, it's almost meaty. You know, that shiitake flavor gives it umami, that uber umami. So it's fantastic. In Japan, they use this for everything, and I use it for everything. The other flavor is spicy, which I really, really like as well. We're out of it because I use it on everything. I literally put it on pasta, pizza, avocado toast, hard-boiled eggs. This stuff goes in Japan. They put on rice a lot, so sometimes you'll just have rice with furikake on top of it, or you'll put it on top of like a poke bowl in Hawaii, or you'll throw it on top of a lot of different things. But we just use it on everything. It's amazing. It's such a great condiment to have, and gives you a little bit of everything. So this is your poke bowl. It's fresh, it's delicious, and look at how easy that was to create. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you want anything. But you can find all of these I created a little collection in the store called Perfect Poke Bowl. So you can find everything that I've talked about here in the store. Have a great week, guys. I will see you next week. And hopefully I won't have any COVID symptoms from my shot. Hoping. Thank you, everyone, and see you next week.